The sixth and of creation last arose with evening harps and matin, when God said, Let the earth bring forth fowl living in her kind, cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth, each in their kind. The earth obeyed, and straight opening her fertile womb teemed at a birth and numerous living creatures, perfect forms, limbed and full grown, out of the ground uprose, as from his lair the wild beast where he wons, in forest wild and thicket brake or den. Among the trees in pairs they rose, they walked the cattle in the fields, in meadows green. Those rare and solitary, these in flocks, pasturing at once, and in broad herds upsprung. The grassy clods, now calved, now half appeared the tawny lion, pawing to get free his hinder parts, then springs as broke from bonds, and rampant shakes his brinded mane. The ounce, the leopard, and the tiger, as the mole rising, the crumbled earth above them threw in hillocks. The swift stag from underground bore up his branching head, scarce from his mould. Behemoth, biggest born of earth, upheaved his vastness, fleeced the flocks and bleating rose as plants, ambiguous between sea and land, the river horse and scaly crocodile. At once came forth whatever creeps the ground, insect or worm. Those waved their limber fans, for wings and smallest lineaments exact, in all the liveries decked of summer's pride, with spots of gold and purple, azure and green. These as a line their long dimension drew, streaking the ground with sinuous trace. Not all minims of nature, some of serpent kind, wondrous in length and corpulence involved their snaky folds and added wings. First crept the parsimonious emmet, provident of future, in small room large heart enclosed, pattern of just equality perhaps. Hereafter joined in her popular tribes of commonality. Swarming next appeared the female bee that feeds her husband drone deliciously, and builds her waxen cells, with honey stored. The rest are numberless, and thou their natures knowest, and gavest them names. Needless to thee repeated, nor unknown the serpent, subtlest beast of all the field. Of huge extent sometimes, with brazen eyes, and hairy mane terrific, though to thee not noxious, but obedient at thy call. Now heaven in all her glory shone and rolled her motions, as the great first movers hand first wheeled their course. Earth in her rich attire consummate lovely smiled. Air, water, earth, by fowl, fish, beast was flown, was swum, was walked frequent. And of the sixth day yet remained, there wanted yet the masterwork, the end of all yet done. A creature who not prone and brute as other creatures, but endued with sanctity of reason, might erect his stature, and upright with front serene govern the rest, self-knowing, and from thence magnanimous to correspond with heaven, but grateful to acknowledge whence his good descends, thither with heart and voice and eyes directed in devotion, to adore and worship God supreme who made him chief of all his works. Therefore the omnipotent eternal Father, for where is not he present, thus to his Son audibly spake. Let us make now man in our image, man in our similitude, and let them rule over the fish and fowl of sea and air, beast of the field, and over all the earth, and every creeping thing that creeps the ground. This said, he formed thee, Adam, thee, O man, dust of the ground, and in thy nostrils breathed the breath of life. In his own image he created thee, in the image of God express, and thou becamest a living soul. Male he created thee, but thy consort female for race. Then blessed mankind and said, Be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth, subdue it, and throughout dominion hold, over fish of the sea and fowl of the air, and every living thing that moves on the earth, wherever thus created, for no place is yet distinct by name. Thence, as thou knowest, he brought thee into this delicious grove, this garden, planted with the trees of God, delectable both to behold and taste, and freely all their pleasant fruit for food, gave thee, all sorts are here, that all the earth yields, variety without end. But of the tree which tasted works of knowledge of good and evil thou mayest not. In the day thou eat'st thou diest. Death is the penalty imposed, beware, and govern well thy appetite, lest sin surprise thee and her black attendant death. Here finished he, and all that he made had good, viewed, and behold, all was entirely good. So even and morn accomplished the sixth day. Yet not till the Creator from his work desisting, though unwearied, up returned, up to the heaven of heavens, his high abode, thence to behold this new created world, the addition of his empire, how it showed in prospect, from his throne, how good, how fair, answering his great idea, up he rode, followed with acclamation, and the sound symphonious of 10,000 harps that tuned angelic harmonies. The earth, the air resounded. Thou rememberest, for thou heardst. The heavens and all the constellations rung. The planets in their stations listening stood, while the bright pomp ascended jubilant. Open, ye everlasting gates, they sung. Open, ye heavens, your living doors. Let in the great Creator from his work returned, magnificent. His 6 days' work, a world open, and henceforth oft. For God will deign to visit oft the dwellings of just men. Delighted, and with frequent intercourse, thither will send his winged messengers on errands of supernal grace. So sung the glorious train ascending. He through heaven that opened wide her blazing portals led to God's eternal house direct the way, a broad and ample road, where dust is gold and pavement stars, as stars to thee appear, seen in the galaxy, that Milky Way, which nightly as a circling zone thou seest, powdered with stars. And now on earth the 7th evening arose in Eden, for the sun was set, and twilight from the east came on, forerunning night, when at the holy mount of heaven's high-seated top, the imperial throne of Godhead, fixed forever firm and sure, the filial power arrived, and sat him down with his great Father, for he also went invisible, yet stayed, such privilege hath omnipresence. And the work ordained, author and end of all things, and from work now resting, blessed and hallowed the 7th day, as resting on that day from all his work, but not in silence wholly kept. The harp had work and rested not, the solemn pipe and dulcimer, and all organs of sweet stop, all sounds on fret by string or golden wire, tempered soft tunings, intermixed with voice, choral or unison, of incense, clouds fuming from golden censers, hid them out. Creation and the 6 days acts they sung. Great are thy works, Jehovah, infinite thy power. What thought can measure thee or tongue relate thee? Greater now in thy return than from the giant angels. Thee that day thy thunder magnified, but to create is greater than created to destroy. Who can impair thee, mighty king, or bound thy empire? Easily the proud attempt of spirits apostate and their counsels vain thou hast repelled, while impiously they thought thee to diminish, and from thee withdraw the number of thy worshippers, who seeks to lessen thee against his purpose, serves to manifest the more thy might. His evil thou usest, and from thence createst more good. Witness this new-made world, another heaven, from heaven gate not far, founded in view on the clear hyaline, the glassy sea, of amplitude almost immense, with stars numerous, and every star perhaps a world of destined habitation. But thou knowest their season, among these the seat of men. Earth, with her nether ocean circumfused, their pleasant dwelling place, thrice happy men and sons of men, whom God hath thus advanced, created in his image, there to dwell and worship him, and in reward to rule over his works, on earth, in sea or air, and multiply a race of worshippers, holy and just, thrice happy if they know their happiness, and persevere upright. So sung they, and the Empyrean rung with hallelujahs. Thus was Sabbath kept, and thy request think now fulfilled, that asked, how first this world and face of things began, and what before thy memory was done from the beginning, that posterity informed by thee might know, if else thou seek'st aught not surpassing human measure, say.